Welcome to a special edition of Community Crypto live from Consensus 2021. I'm your host, Isaiah Jackson, and today we will be exploring financial inclusion from a local and global perspective. Later on, we'll meet the team behind Play to Earn, a documentary about a crypto game empowering people in the Philippines to earn a living. But first, we look at the Black Wall Street, an app aimed at empowering people of color right here in the U.S. Joining me now is Hill Harper, actor and co-founder of the Black Wall Street app, and Najah Roberts, co-founder of the Black Wall Street app. The Black Wall Street app goes live on June 1st and hopes to empower people of color. The app will offer a digital wallet, the ability to trade, and crypto education for Black and Latinx investors. Welcome, Hill. Welcome, Najah.
Thank you so much, Isaiah.
Welcome. Thank you.
Absolutely. Glad to have you on the show. Of course, we've had conversations before, and one of the things is the name, such a powerful name, the Black Wall Street app. Najah, if you could explain to us what Black Wall Street is and, why the name of the app was that.
Well, I think it would be apropos to just say that the Black Wall Street was a place that was vibrant. It was full of Black businesses. There were banks. There were grocery dealerships. It was things, all things prosperous in the Black community, and that was located in. And so, as we talk about this Black Wall Street digital wallet, we're going to be exactly the same, but in a digital sense. We're going to have a place in currency there. They're going to be able to store their cryptocurrency there. And also, we're going to have several different mechanisms that just beats of a Wall Street again in the digital sense.
Beautiful, beautiful. And Hill, so what needs to be done to increase Black and Latinx representation in crypto along with the app?
You know, I think it starts exactly where it starts. It starts with education, and your book is one of those tools that folks need to get into. But when we talk about financial literacy, to me, it's about an ecosystem of problems that requires an ecosystem of systemic solutions. And we start with financial literacy, we move to financial capacity building, ultimately getting to financial empowerment. And I think Najah is absolutely right. There were three pillars in the original brick and mortar Black Wall Street, of which we are coming up, for those of you who don't know, May 31st at sundown is the centennial of the largest state-sponsored race massacre in the history of this country. And there were three pillars in my mind that built wealth there. Pillar number one was institutional ownership. Pillar number two was institutional trust. And pillar number three was the movement of money or capital within the ecosystem, where a dollar changed hands 6,200 times. And back then that was up to a year. Right now, a dollar leaves the Black community within 6 to 7 hours. I believe if we don't own our own digital wallets and don't onboard and educate folks about digital currency and cryptocurrency concurrently, then that dollar will be leaving within 6 to 7 seconds. This is a cultural and economic imperative, because I truly believe you can't have social justice without economic justice.
I agree with you there. And of course, with the app coming out, the three pillars you laid out, the reasons for this app, it may have been the reason why you needed to be out and talk to people in person. And we know that you've been on a beautiful Black Wall Street tour for the past few months. So tell us a little bit about the tour, Hill. How are things going, and how are things progressing?
The tour has been led by Najah Roberts. And I want to tell you something about this dynamic, incredible sister that we're calling the young Harriet Tubman, leading our people out of financial slavery and bondage. When we first talked about a tour, I said, hey, let's take a look at the 10 most marginalized, most challenged counties and cities across the country for our community. Let's go there. Let's educate folks, and let's give away some Satoshis. Let's give away some big, let's do this. And she's like, Hill, 10 cities, let's look at it. It's not enough. We have to reach more. We have to go bigger. We have to meet people where they are. So she's been leading this charge all over the country, endless amounts of energy, meeting people exactly like you see right now, right where they are, not judging folks, not saying you should know this or you missed the boat, or if you don't know this, No, it's about, listen, we're all in this together. Dr. King said we're all tied together in a single garment of mutual destiny. And that's how we're acting. We're in this together. We can win together if we work together collectively. It's just been amazing. She went to Mount Bayou, Mississippi, and they told her no one's come there in years. One of the poorest zip codes in the country per capita. And she's there educating folks on the ground one-on-one. She's just such an impressive person. And we're so proud of the Black Wall Street National Financial Revolution Charitable Tour.
Beautiful. And that's a segue to you, Najah, because I would love to hear some of the experiences you've had on the road, speaking to people face to face during the hard work. And like Hill said, being the new Harriet Tubman, bringing financial empowerment to these communities. What has it been like on the road for you, Najah?
It has been an incredible experience. I don't even think when I started, I anticipated our people being so ready and so eager to make a change in their situation. We've always been ready, but when there hasn't been any real hope for different types of things that we can utilize, introducing them to cryptocurrency has been a different experience. One thing I know that everybody is ready. Sorry about that. That is my PR guy. Everybody ready, willing, able across this country to make a difference in their families and their communities, and they're offering so much accessibility to themselves and to their communities. It's mind-boggling that we've been ready for this. We just now are in a position where we have a tool that we can utilize, being Bitcoin, to bring our community and take our community in a different trajectory than we've been in the past. So it's incredible. I love it.
Oh, yeah. And if you don't know, Najah is definitely one of the hardest working people in the industry. She's on tour right now doing this interview. So it just goes to show that she's definitely making sure this message gets out. And, you know, one of the biggest topics that comes up about this app is what makes it different from other applications? How will it effectively or help the Black community specifically? Hill?
Well, a couple things makes it different. Number one, we're going to be cheaper than Coinbase, cheaper than Cash App, and we're gonna give folks more for their money, and that's for everybody. Anybody who wants to use our wallet and access Bitcoin through it. Another fact of the matter is really emphasizing education, de-emphasizing the trading idea. We do not want folks coming on here. We're not trying to be Robin Hood. We do not want folks coming on here thinking they're going to be the next traders, and this is about get rich quick. This is about foundational education first. So we're de-emphasizing that activity and emphasizing the idea of dollar cost averaging and holding your position multiple years and hopefully generations. This is about wealth building and cross-generational wealth building, not about how can we squeeze as much money out of the user. It's actually the opposite. We want to give away as much value as possible to the user. So there'll be over 100 educational videos for free on the platform. And then as the platform roadmap continues, obviously we're launching with only a wallet and your ability to transact. But as the platform continues, we're going to add more and more features, peer-to-peer lending elements, onboarding of small business loans, and helping folks with small business education. Remember, the number one reason most new Black businesses fail in the first 2 years is not that they're not offering a good product or service. It's actually the cost of running the business is often too high. So if we can help people through education and onboarding lower their cost of running it, make it more efficient through the platform, we're actually going to create an ecosystem of exchange, and we want the money flow to recirculate within the wallet ecosystem and build wealth that way.
Powerful idea there. And again, like I said, we've spoken before about this. We've discussed how this can impact the Black community, and I'm glad to be a part of that. And Najah, I wanted to ask you, talking about the unbanked in America, because I don't think that people hit this enough. The unbanked in America are unable to, get bank accounts, have access to the financial market. How do you think this will impact people using the Black Wall Street app?
Well, we're planning to come from all angles. So those individuals that are currently unbanked because of this tour and seeing that and actually verifying that there are over 65 million of us that are unbanked, Black and brown in this country. We've got to continue to do that over-the-counter thing, and that over-the-counter will allow us the opportunity to then send them to the Black Wall Street wallet, just as we have in the past. We've been sending them to other wallets. Now they can still continue to be unbanked if they like. They can purchase Bitcoin, and we send their Bitcoin directly to their Black Wall Street wallet. And that's one of the solutions that we have in place. But we're working on several others to make sure that we meet people where they are directly in their community.
Mm-hmm. And I love it because you got to hear.
Isaiah, I was just going to say that when you really actually peel back the onion, 90 to 95% of the financial products and services that have historically been offered to Black, brown, and marginalized communities have been either predatory on their face or hidden predatory. What do I mean? Predatory on their face, we're talking about payday lenders, check cashing spots, rent to own. There was a report of a brother paid 600% interest over the life of a very low amount loan that he got. It's just ridiculous how much money gets ripped out. And then we have hidden predatory. Many of our big banks that put up balloons as if they're putting them in our communities, and then they've encouraged their folks to put people into savings and checking accounts where they only have $600, $800 in it, but they're charging them $200, $250 a year in fees, ATM fees, overdraft fees, not hitting your account balance minimum fees. We, through a digital platform of financial services, we can repurpose all that money by saving folks that money and then encouraging them to invest it into ascending value asset classes like Bitcoin.
Oh, yeah. And I'm glad that you brought that up, which brings me to my next question about decentralized finance. Are there any plans to maybe implement the DeFi portion? I know you said peer-to-peer loans, but any other tokens that are maybe be added, or is Bitcoin the only one?
We have the ability to add as many and as much as we want. That's the beautiful thing. And I want people to understand this. It's been a labor of love. This is not a white label solution. We didn't license this technology. We have one of the best Black CTOs. There's a lot of people out there that think other folks is, what they say their ice is colder in technology, but that's not true. Our brother is brilliant. Brian Griffin, our CTO. And so we built this tech. We own this IP. We wrote this code. And so we are going to add many different pillars around decentralization and all of really listen to our community. Because it's not, again, the idea is we don't want to just throw things out there that look like shiny objects that folks get caught up in doing. We actually wanted to have a use case and a value for the community we're talking about. So, maybe we'll have some fun and say, hey, once you reach a certain number of Satoshis, that'll unlock your ability to then access other functionalities because you've proven that you understand that there's a base case of building a foundation of Satoshis before you move on to these others. We don't know exactly how we do it, but the beautiful thing, the tech exists that we could just flip a switch and offer a number of things. But we want to be very judicious and selective about that because we don't want to set our people up to fail because they've been burned so many times. The last thing we need is for 2 months, 3 months from now, someone to say, well, Hill, on your platform, I got into Space, Moon, Shibu, and Doge. And man, I've lost everything. I couldn't unload it. And man, you told me you were going to build wealth, but you took you aided and abetted in taking my wealth. And so we don't want to aid and abet. We want to educate, inform, and uplift.
And that's the point I wanted to get to was that the tech is there, but people need to realize if you're a beginner, you should be sticking with Bitcoin as far as dollar cost averaging and building. And one of the things that's beautiful about Bitcoin is the ability to transact globally. Najah, are there any plans to have maybe Nigeria or Ghana or other countries where you could do international trade on that?
I would say yes, but you know what? We've got such a need right here in the United States. I think that if we start here and we get a strong foundation, we can scale this wherever we are in the world. I think it's an incredible opportunity.
Yes, and it's nothing stopping it, right? I mean, if you can transact globally as well as in the U.S., you can build, again, a digital Black Wall Street that's global, which is the goal. And I love to hear it. So, again, the Black Wall Street app, we've discussed some of the features of it. We discussed some of the people that are a part of it. What are some of the barriers that you had to overcome in order to get this app up and running? Hill?
Well, I'll tell you, there are a number of barriers to entry, and not the least of which has to do with cost factors, right? And the idea, and what I've noticed in the space of launching a fintech, that when we talk about getting funding for diverse founders, whether it's people of color, Black folks, women, founders, what I've learned is that there will be a stream of funders who come, but the criteria that they use is an unequal criteria. In other words, they discount valuations, so they want a higher percentage ultimately of your company for less money. And here's the kicker that I never realized before was that they want a value prop out of the gate. Where I think a lot of these young kids coming out of Stanford with a hoodie, they're like, man, you don't need to make money for the first 5 years because we know you're building an ecosystem. It's all good. It's the Jeff Bezos model. Lose money, give away value for years. And then at some point, it's going to be an amazing amount of value because you have this massive ecosystem. But for diverse founders, women, people of color, they're like, so you're going to charge a membership fee, right? No. Oh, okay. So okay, I got it. So you're going to launch with a card, and then you're going to add on your fees on top of the card, that card, the debit card. No. Okay. So I get it. So you're going to charge more for the Bitcoin, and you're going to have really high exchange fees and all of that, so you can make up. No. So where's your value? I said the value's in the people. The values in the people. And so for too long, and watch what I'm about to say here, because this is a strong statement. For too long, particularly in tech, we've allowed tech companies to monetize our community. And our community is the community that's made apps like Clubhouse, billion-dollar apps, apps like Twitter, billion-dollar apps. Yet, we have never owned them. This is an opportunity for us to monetize culture and keep the money circulating within our culture. And that doesn't mean y'all white folks who are out there, you can join the Black Wall Street too, right? We need you. We need partners. We need allies. It's not just for Black folk, but it is for our community, to help our community build wealth, uplift, and empower. And if you're on that line and you want to join that train, then come onto the Black Wall Street and open up a wallet and transact with us.
Oh, yeah. And that is the beautiful thing about this app, like you said before. It's for everybody. Taking control of your wealth, having an app that you own is amazing, but it is for everybody. And I want to wrap it up here. I hate that we have to. I would love to speak to you all more. But thank you both, Najah and Hill, for coming onto the show and talking about the Black Wall Street app.
I got to say one thing before we wrap. Thank you so much. I'm Isaiah, I'm going to see you in Miami, and I'm in the competition with you in the 3-point competition at the Bitcoin Classic. You know I did He Got Game with all the pros. You better have been shooting. I'm just telling you, you should be practicing now. I am so ready. It's going to be ridiculous. I mean, it's crazy. Watch, I got my shoes. These are the shoes I'll be wearing. See, my red, black, and green shoes. Get ready, brother.
I'm going to practice as soon as I get off here. I gotta make sure I can't lose to Hill Harper, man. I can't do it. But thank you all for coming on.
Man, I haven't shot a basket in 15 years. I don't know what's gonna happen. Thanks so much.
Thank you both. Have a good one.
All right, thank you. All right, you too.
Thank you, Najah. Oh, yeah. And that was Najah Roberts and actor Hill Harper, co-creators of the Black Wall Street app, launching on June 1. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, a crypto game empowering people in the Philippines with the funds to pay their bills and put food on the table. And a reminder that consensus is still in full swing, and Binance's CZ will take the main stage tonight. Welcome back. After the COVID-19 lockdowns led to an unemployment rate in the Philippines that reached 40%, a community found a crypto game that allowed them to take care of their loved ones and keep their lights on. Axie Infinity has been downloaded more than 29,000 times in the Philippines and is generating a life-changing income for people. Let's take a look at the clip.
In August 2020, I wrote a story for the crypto news publication CoinDesk about a video game that was putting food on the table for families in the rural Philippines who'd been affected by the COVID-19 pandemic.
In Cabanatuan City, Nueva Ecija, a rural province known for its rice fields and tens of thousands of tricycle drivers, one community got hooked on an NFT game called Axie Infinity. Earning an in-game reward token called Small Love Potion, they'd swap it for other cryptos like Ethereum to cash out $300 or $400 a month. For some, that's more than they were earning before they lost their jobs and went into what would become one of the longest lockdowns in the world. Sabrina, a mum of two, is one of those who lost their job and turned to Axie to pay the bills.
Talagang hindi ako makatulog. Kasi iniisip ko bukas, eto na lang yung pera ko. Siyempre, naging thankful ako kay Axie dahil kahit papano, natulungan niya kami. And then, hindi lang pang-araw-araw yung niraos niya. Binayaran niya lahat ng bill namin, ng utang namin.
Youth unemployment was particularly bad, with almost a third of young people without a job.
I treated it as a work because if you want to earn in that game, you have to commit in that game. You have to play it daily, to play hard. I guess the highest earning possible in that is 15,000 per month. But that's fine because the regular jobs that I see here in the Philippines, they offer 10,000 a month.
This complex DApp, with its cute Pokemon-like creatures, has captured the hearts and minds of players, both young and old.
Minsan nakaka 100 na laro. Minsan talo, minsan tawi.
Games like Axie Infinity are attracting players from outside the crypto space and teaching them a range of complex concepts, from NFTs and DeFi to smart contracts, decentralized exchange, and tokenomics. Some say NFT gaming will unlock crypto adoption at scale.
Crypto-based games are community-owned. Everybody in the community gets to share in the revenues and the upsides, which means that participants, people who play, get a chance to play to earn. And that's just incredible to me, and it creates really unique opportunities.
It seems blockchain developers, entrepreneurs, and crypto investors should be looking to the world's underserved populations for a lesson in user adoption.
Joining me today is Play to Earn producer Leah Callon-Butler, Axie Infinity co-founder and COO Aleksander Larsen, and Yield Games co-founder Gabby Dazon. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having us, Isaiah.
Glad to have you here. And glad to have you as well. And Aleksander, I want to start with you. Tell us a little bit about Axie Infinity, the thought behind it and how it got started.
Sure, Isaiah. Yeah, first, very happy to be here to talk a little bit about Axie and what we're doing. So for those who have never heard about Axie, the very simple story is that we are making a digital pet game where you have your cute game characters that you can use across many different games. Some of the games have already been released and some are in development. And what we've seen now is we found basically product market fit with our battle game, where people can earn smooth or small love potions when they battle against other players, and then they can actually turn that into real currency, because it's kind of how the tokenomics work.
Beautiful, love it. And I want to jump to you, Gabby. Guild Games is a DAO, decentralized autonomous. Yield Guild Games is a DAO, decentralized autonomous organization, and made up of 2,500 people. So tell us a little bit more about the DAO and how it formed.
We've actually grown quite a bit since we wrote that. So there's now over 12,000 people in the community.
Nice.
So last year I was playing Axie Infinity. And during the early COVID lockdown, I noticed that a lot of people from my country in the Philippines started joining the game. And a lot of them came from actually the rural city that you saw in the video. And these people that weren't really crypto savvy, they turned to Axie Infinity to kind of save them during the pandemic. They were out of jobs and they found the game. They learned how to use a crypto wallet, started playing Axie Infinity, and then started earning money. And this made me realize just the power of crypto to onboard people from around the world into the crypto economy via games. So I started Yield Guild Games. So what we do is that we invest in NFTs in different games like Axie Infinity, and then we lend them out to our player community so that they can play the game and then get onboarded into the crypto economy without any upfront cost.
Oh, yeah. So, again, I'm glad you said that. The gamification of the crypto market has definitely brought more people into the space, which is why I love this idea. And Leah, going over to you, you were on the ground, you were with the people. What was it like? What was the sentiment like of the people that use this game?
Yeah, so I first stumbled across this story that was developing in the Philippines in August last year, when we were really in the thick of the lockdowns. And over here in the Philippines, I mean, just to give you some context, this was a very long and strict lockdown where we even had military personnel patrolling the streets. People were very much kept in their houses and unable to work. And that's very difficult in a place where a lot of people live day to day. They do cash in hand jobs. And if they don't have a way to be able to kind of make any income, that makes it extremely difficult. There was some government relief that was given to families, but it really wasn't much at all. So some people were sustaining themselves on rice. So when I heard about this idea that there were people at home playing around the clock, this incredibly complex blockchain game, I mean, that's important to point out. Axie is not easy to play. There's a lot to learn. But there was this developing community that were teaching each other, how to get onboarded. And through earning this in-game reward token, they would go through all of the steps to be able to cash it out and turn it into food on the table. And, Cabanatuan City is a very rural province in the Philippines. As I said in the video, it's known for its agricultural sector. There's thousands of tricycle drivers. And here you've got these people earning Smooth Love Potion, going to Uniswap, swapping it for Ethereum on a decentralized exchange, sending it to coins.ph, which is a local crypto wallet, to turn into cash on the table. And there's a number of different last mile options for people to cash out here. But, that's a lot to go through. And I don't think anyone in the world expected to find people jumping through all of these hoops to learn crypto in such great depth in the rural Philippines. So, it was a pretty inspiring story, which I just thought, uncovering this is quite important for the rest of the world to see.
Oh, yeah, definitely an inspiring story. And I have to ask you, Leah, how did Mark Cuban come about in this documentary?
Well, he actually recently invested in Axie Infinity. So Alex could tell you a little bit more about that. They recently announced a Series A. But he was introduced to us through Delphi Digital, Anil Lala, who was actually working with us on the documentary. And when he heard about the Play to Earn movement and the documentary that we were making, he absolutely wanted to show his support and his contribution. I mean, everyone who worked on the video, we were already convinced of the legitimacy of this story, but having his input really added an extra level of credibility, which we're incredibly grateful for.
Oh, yeah, which is very important for visibility. So, Aleksander, how was that? What was it like getting Mark Cuban on board for investment? And, what are his thoughts about crypto and gaming for the future?
Yeah, I think Leah touched upon it there. I mean, sometimes when people hear about Axie Infinity and the opportunities it enables for players, it sounds like it's too good to be true. And I think that's because a lot of people have actually gone through the crypto space and been scammed a little bit. So they don't understand, where the value is being created. And in Axie, it's kind of very simple because rather than us, the game studio, taking all the value for ourselves, we're actually sharing it with the players. So whenever an Axie character is generated, like there's a small cut that we take, and then there is the cut that's required for smooth love potions. So that's kind of where the value is generated. So the players are kind of co-creating the universe with us. And that, I think, is what makes it so appealing for large investors like Mark Cuban, who really understands that there is some kind of value creation here, that people actually want Axies. It's not just because they necessarily only want to sell it. They also want to collect Axies, and they love their kind of digital pets. And I think that's really what's so fascinating about this entire movement that we're creating here.
Yes, and we've had Pokemon, we went to CryptoKitties, and now we're at Axies, and this is something that the consumer wants. I'm glad that this is available. And I want to jump to you, Gabby. Do you think this idea can be incorporated in other places, or are there plans to incorporate it in other places which may have had the same issues?
So we have a player community from around the world. Apart from Philippines, we have players in Indonesia, in India, across Latin America, in Venezuela, for example, where the currency is extremely unstable. And I think the SLP is actually a more stable form of currency for our players there. We're starting up a player community in Brazil as well. So yeah, I think the same thing applies across a lot of the developing countries around the world.
Oh, yeah. And in these developing countries, from what I saw, was mostly adults that were playing the game for income. But what do you think the implications are for kids to be able to make money playing games directly? What do you think, Gabby?
So my 12-year-old son actually plays the game and has made quite a bit of money that I don't have to give him allowance anymore. Of course, when it comes to cashing out to fiat money, then they would need their parents for that. But yeah, it turns money into basically a video game and gives them lessons on economic supply and demand, scarcity. So my son has definitely learned these monetary concepts because of playing games like Axie.
Oh, yeah. And when I was younger, my mom used to yell at me about video games and say, "You'll never make money playing video games, so get off of it." Not true. Not true for this generation, right? So,
That's right.
Leah, I want to jump to you. Yeah, exactly. And Leah, I want to jump to you. How do you think NFTs will affect the gaming industry in the future? Do you think it will be the dominant form of the way games are played, or do you think it will sort of be small communities that do it, but not mainstream?
So great question. I just wanted to add on to the last thing that you mentioned in terms of age, though. You might have seen in the video, there's actually an elderly couple that play the game, and it's sort of become everyone's favorite character. Not everyone, but a lot of people say that they love Lola and Lolo from the video. They're 65 and 75 years old, play Axie all day. And I think that has really changed people's idea about who video games are for and who could actually get enjoyment and also monetary value out of this game. We've had a lot of people sort of say, "Oh, when I saw the elderly couple playing, I thought, oh, I can do it too." So it's actually for all ages, which is super cool. In terms of NFTs, look, I think we're at really early stages. Gabby is the best person to talk on this topic, but we're really only just starting to see all the potential use cases. As the guys mentioned before, I think gaming is an incredible pathway for user adoption because gamers really understand that notion of the value in digital assets. Whereas I think some people outside the space are still kind of wondering, like, oh, why would I pay for something digital? Or, I could just screenshot that. But gamers are already kind of in that space where they attach real value to their digital items. And they really understand the value that NFT brings through being able to prove provenance, authenticity, and prevent duplication. So I think it'll be very exciting as we see the real world or the physical world overlap with the metaverse even more as we move forward, because as people start to spend more and more of their life in these virtual worlds, they're going to see that we need a better system to be able to prove ownership of our digital goods. But I'd throw to Gabby on that because he's the real visionary in terms of, where NFTs are going.
Oh, yeah. Gabby, do you want to jump in and
Yeah, I do think more and more games are going to incorporate NFTs in the future. Especially, I think the trend will be going from free to play, wherein people can download a game and play it for free, to play to earn. So I think we're going to see games beyond Axie really incorporate these elements, especially as incorporate crypto wallets and NFTs inside the games. Like, I think a lot of the jobs in the future will be in the metaverse. You could be a player, you could be a level designer, you could be creating avatars. These are just a number of the jobs that people will be doing to earn money inside video games and virtual worlds.
Oh, yeah. And we can see it coming. I mean, here on our show, we actually did an entire interview in the metaverse. And that's one of the best parts is if you want to do something in the metaverse, we can do it. Anybody from around the world can join. And Aleksander, I want to jump to you. Do you think NFTs and digital assets in the metaverse will outperform, or I should say outdo the physical world at some point?
Yeah, I mean, when we started with Axie, it was early in 2018, and we were pretty much convinced that that the gaming space would be changed forever by NFTs. And I think that it's natural for it to happen within the gaming space because it's so natural for players. I mean, we've already had game items forever, but like when you have a game like Axie NFT, you can use it inside the game. Meanwhile, for an art NFT, the use case is not really that clear. Like it doesn't really make as much sense as with something that you can immediately use. So with that sense, I think gaming assets is the thing that we will see gain adoption first. And then eventually, as kind of the space grows, I think it's only like only our imaginations can see where this will go, because like NFTs are just a new medium to store things. Actually, like we've never seen this before, so it's pretty hard to judge exactly where it will go. But I think we're seeing just the tip of the iceberg, and everyone who's building inside the space should be happy because we have a chance to truly define the future here. And I hear a lot of people say that the NFT space is a little bit the same as kind of the early Bitcoin space in 2011, 2013, because everyone is eager to teach you what's happening. They want to teach you, like, how do I use this thing? Like last year, so many players received free Axies from other players just because they wanted to learn about it. Wow. And I mean, I couldn't even give away free Axies to some of my friends because it was so hard for them to get started. And I believe that was the same thing that happened in the Bitcoin space, right? You needed to kind of push people to get these assets because there were so many hurdles. But we're slowly but surely kind of moving away from all these hurdles and making it easier for people to onboard into the space. And that's what we're working towards in Axie and Sky Mavis.
Oh, trust me. I remember early Bitcoin days. I couldn't pay people to take Bitcoin either. And it was crazy because I was like, it's free. Just take it, man. Just hold it and see what happens in the future. And I think NFTs are gearing up to do the same thing because Pandora's box has been opened, so to say. And I think that NFTs will gradually make its way into a lot of things. And I want to go to you, Leah, as far as some of the things that NFTs will affect. We talked about the Philippines. We're talking about Axie. Yield Guild, what else do you think NFTs will affect, or what industry will NFTs affect long term?
That's a great question. I really feel that we're at a stage now that it almost feels like the beginning of the internet. I'm sure when the internet first came out, people couldn't envision the type of services that would come out of this incredible new way to communicate. And people were still trying to reflect what was happening in the real world. So, websites kind of look like a flyer on your computer because that was the format that we had prior to this new way of communicating. And I get the feeling that we're at that stage with NFTs and the metaverse now, because a lot of what's being done is a reflection of, the way that we already do things, just kind of translated into a digital space. But I think what's going to be really exciting to follow is when people start to think about, well, actually, I've got a completely new channel and format now. And how do we actually start to reinvent the way that we communicate, the way that we interact, the way that we live and work, the way that we buy things and experience stuff. I haven't really seen yet. Like, we're really at super early stages in terms of people reimagining how life could actually exist by leveraging technology around NFTs. So I'm excited to see where it goes. I mean, like, there's so much cool stuff happening now in terms of people buying up virtual land in the metaverse and building incredible property there. Actually, just a couple of weekends ago, I was lucky enough to attend an art gallery opening, Kevin's art gallery in the metaverse, from the comfort of my own home. And, that was a super cool experience. So, like, now I'm kind of imagining, well, when will I be, shopping online, but attending, say, a physical shopping center in the metaverse? Again, that's like a real reflection on something I would kind of already do. So I'm excited to see when people start reimagining, what this space actually looks like for humans.
Oh, yeah. And I think we're all getting ready for our Ready Player One stats to get up over time. And Aleksander, with that being said, as far as the future, what plans or what's the roadmap for Axie Infinity going forward?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, since the beginning, when we started Axie and we started to see that, people wanted to make their own games using the NFT characters that we had available, we always had the idea that we wanted to make Axie into this kind of game universe. So we believe that user-generated content is the kind of the best way to actually tap into human creativity. I mean, let the players build, not necessarily kind of game developers. I mean, they can come too, but, make simple tools to allow other players to build and then monetize from there. So that's kind of in the pipeline, like in the long term, but like in the very short term, we want to go to market with the new battle game that we have, and really let kind of the mainstream player experience what it means to own their game asset, and by extension kind of their digital identity, because that's really what this is. Like, all the game assets that you get inside games, that's such a big part of what it is to be like you in the digital realm. So incredibly excited kind of in the both the short and the long term, and then eventually also to bring this technology to other game studios as well. So yeah, it should be a lot of very interesting years.
Absolutely. And the possibilities are endless. We don't know where this industry is going. And I want to thank you all for coming onto the show. I appreciate it so much. This was very enlightening. Great conversation. So thank you, Aleksander. Thank you, Leah. And thank you, Gabby.
Thank you, Zed.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks, Isaiah.
Absolutely. That was Play to Earn producer Leah Callon-Butler, Axie Infinity co-founder and CEO Aleksander Larsen, and Yield Games co-founder Gabby Dizon. Coming up next, we will explore the Justice Coin project and how they are working to correct the wrongs of the past with cryptocurrency. And don't forget, the Consensus Grand Finale is happening tonight. Don't miss ARK Investments' Kathy Wood.
The financial world is evolving fast, and we're adapting to meet the new demands of this growing industry. That's why we're introducing Desk, an integral part of this modernization. At Consensus, you can earn Desk by completing a variety of fun tasks, such as attending virtual networking or interacting with our online event platform. Desk holders are able to redeem tokens for a range of Consensus-exclusive NFTs, including swag, products from our partners, and one-on-one meetings with VIPs. Desk is a CoinDesk-issued ERC20 token created in collaboration with NFT management system Unifty. It's hosted on an Ethereum-based testnet called Rinkeby. Desk does not have a monetary value and cannot be traded for other digital assets or fiat currency. The Taurus wallet has been chosen to support the rollout of Desk. The Desk beta is open to current and previous attendees of Consensus, as well as attendees of our Unlocked 101 series. All you need to do to start earning is head over to coindesk.com/desk, enter your email, and claim using your access code. Make sure you're registered for Consensus by CoinDesk 2021 to get in on the action.
Intercoin, has teamed up with the City of Evanston in Illinois to work on a project called Justice Coin. The project hopes to provide coins as reparations to people who were harmed by marijuana laws in the past. Joining me now on Community Crypto is Intercoin CEO and founder Gregory Magarshak and Gerard Dache, Government Blockchain Association Executive Director. Welcome to the show, guys.
Glad to be here. Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. Glad to have you both here. So first, I want to discuss, Gregory, could you please explain to us what is Intercoin and how did you go from that and the move to Justice Coin?
Absolutely. So Intercoin was started about 3 years ago. We looked at the crypto space and we said, the crypto space has become sort of this peer-to-peer thing. It's focused very much on peer-to-peer. But money is a community phenomenon. Just like language, we're speaking English because others are speaking English. And we're on Facebook because our friends are on Facebook. So similarly, we use a currency because others accept it in the community. And just like Facebook is useful in Harvard, we wanted each community to have its own currency. And we figured if we can have it on a community level, we can do things like a universal basic income. We can help solve food insecurity, poverty, all sorts of things. And I think we need that because Bitcoin and gold and other things exist. Gold has existed for thousands of years, but poverty is still with us. So it's important to have crypto for public good. That's why Intercoin exists.
Absolutely. And how did the City of Evanston hear about it? If you would, Gerard, how did they get involved and what are they doing now?
Let me kick that one back over to Greg because he was more involved in that specifically.
Okay,
Gerard.
All right, so
yeah, just a little bit. Basically, the Chicago chapter of the Government Blockchain Association, which Gerard can tell you about, he's the director of it. The Government Blockchain Association is very much about public and private partnerships with blockchain companies using blockchain and crypto to achieve things with municipalities all around the world. They have dozens of chapters around the world. One of them is the Chicago chapter. And Andrew Heldut, who is a politician who's running actually for Congress there, he approached people in Evanston, and he was able to sort of get interest for a UBI, a project that would give money into the hands of the people. But unlike normal UBI, which there's dozens of mayors around the country that want to do UBI, if you've noticed, none of them have done it. Maybe Andrew Yang here in New York will do it. I don't know. But the thing is, it's very hard. It's unsustainable to tax money and then give people cash because the cash goes out of the city. Look at Detroit. It went bankrupt because of a deficit. So what if you could give the coin of the city out? This way, the coin would be recirculated and spent into the city. People would buy local farmers, and then businesses would hire local workers rather than outsourcing everything. So that's the idea. The idea of Justice Coin is just to put people, what they wanted to do was basically, they had this tax that they raised from marijuana taxes now, because it's become legal, and they want to now disperse some of that to people that were harmed by previous laws from marijuana. And that's a way to put money in the hands of the people. And then the city can actually get it back with, taxes, fees, tolls, infrastructure, buses, all kinds of things. And then that can circulate with local businesses as well. So that was the idea.
Oh, yeah. And, tell us a little bit about these marijuana laws and exactly how they affected the community, Gerard.
Well, let me be clear about the role that the Government Blockchain Association plays is really to sort of support Greg in his project. We are an industry association of about 20,000 people in 120 cities around the world. And we have folks that are part of the GBA that are in about 500 different government offices and entities. And so our role is really to help the public and the private sector connect, communicate, and collaborate. And from that perspective, we're supporting Greg in his project. But the details about his project, he's probably more adept at answering. The infrastructure and the support mechanism that he has in terms of, we have 50 working groups, we've got connections, relationships, technology, in support of the project is more a role that the GBA can speak to.
Oh, yeah. And that infrastructure is important to move forward, right? So, Gregory, do you see the ability to move this to other cities? You alluded to it earlier with other cities. Can this exact idea be copied and as a template for other cities?
Oh, absolutely. And it's not just cities. It's also universities. Like CoinDesk has Desk Coin. So it's also, for basically conferences, festivals, events, cruise ships, anything that has a community would want to have a coin. But it's not just enough to have a coin. How are you going to get it in the hands of the people? How are you going to get vendors to accept the coin and have confidence to cash it out? This is what Visa did when they installed, in the 80s and 90s, the consumer credit boom, they had to install these payment machines. These days, you don't need payment machines. Everyone's got one of these. So basically, Intercoin is building on top of social networks. And I should say one other thing. Intercoin is my second project. We started a company 10 years ago called Cubex, and we built an alternative to big tech. So big tech, we're talking about now people are saying, oh, the privately owned platforms on which we have public forums, like Twitter, Facebook, etc. Back in 2011, we built alternatives to that, which are open source. So we have a social network that's open source. Think of it like an open source Telegram. And now we're going to be releasing payment networks to all of our small social networks. So you can think of any community at all, a poet society, NYU Alumni Association could have NYU coin. And every recent graduate can give some coins, essentially.
Oh, yeah. So essentially what you're saying is local currency for local people or groups is the future. And going from here, the ability to distribute that is much easier, so to say, than what we have now. So I do have to ask, why cryptocurrency instead of fiat currency? Because some people may say, hey, just give me dollars and that's enough reparations for me. Why do you think cryptocurrency would be better?
Absolutely.
Let me throw...
Yes.
Yeah, let me throw part of this out, and Greg can give his 2 cents. So if you look at what's happened with the United States dollar, for example, it took us 250 years to get to $4 trillion in supply. When COVID hit, and one of the things that we've done in the 1970s is when we got off the gold standard, there's no check on government spending anymore. So anytime somebody comes to a politician and wants to get a program done, it gets added to the check, right? And so what ended up happening is we just started printing money. And so it took us 250 years to get to 4 trillion. When COVID hit and we had to start giving everybody money, we didn't have piles of money laying around, right? We couldn't borrow it anymore, right? So we just turned on the printing press. And in 1 year, we went from $4 trillion to $18 trillion. And when we did that, we didn't just, clearly we devalued the money. So all the money you have is sitting in your bank account and your check account, essentially it is worth less because of this massive government spending, right? But we didn't just do that to Americans. We did that to the rest of the world because 60% of global reserves are in U.S. currency. So now you've got people and governments all around the world. They're watching what we've done to their assets, and on top of that, we're telling them they have to live with our regulatory environment. So if we tell them we don't want them trading with Iran, right? And so you've got this growing community around the world that's saying, do I want to continue to be under this financial regime structure when the Americans continue to devalue the reserve currency? So they've been looking for alternatives. And, you hear a lot of stuff about stuff China's doing in different countries. Well, they all have the same problems, right? So any government, right? We know about what Zimbabwe did back around the 1980s, 1990s, right? They turned on the printing presses and before too long, it was 470,000 Zimbabwe dollars for a sheet of toilet paper, right? And so what ended up happening is people started looking at cryptocurrency. Now, here's the problem: when I don't have any of my assets in a traditional financial institution anymore. All of my assets are in a cryptocurrency mechanism.
Kudos to you, sir. Kudos to you, sir.
Well, so what ends up happening is when people start using that as a store of value, and they start using things like Intercoin for local transactions, and we can get into technical stuff, but as the demand for the dollars diminish, right, the value of those dollars diminish, which put more value into the cryptocurrency. So, you got guys like Michael Saylor who said, look, I'm putting my money in cryptocurrency because it's the dollar is a melting ice cube. Right. Look, I love my country. I spent years in the military. I hope we do well. But unless the government can control spending, the two realities don't change. Is that the dollar and fiat currency continue to erode in value, and these cryptocurrencies are an alternative, which is why something like Intercoin potentially is an alternative that a lot of people are looking at.
Absolutely. And Gregory, I'll let you finish it up here. Like he just said, the constant printing of money has devalued our currency, and using cryptocurrency as a way for reparations. Do you hope that other cities learn from a project like this and adopt it sooner than later?
Oh, absolutely. Look, Michael Tubbs in Stockton, California is very big on UBI. I think it's a great idea to give people the consumer choice where to spend their money. The problem is, and to answer your question also, is that if you give them federal dollars, they will leave your city. Okay, there's plenty of things to buy out of the city, and it's not sustainable. And that's why every single mayor on that list, dozens of mayors, mayors for guaranteed income, they have basically so far failed to create a UBI. The only UBI that ever existed in the United States long term is Alaska, and that's funded by oil revenues. They need to build their own coin, give out the UBI in their own coin, and have a fund that recirculates and just backs the coin, because then that's sustainable. Giving out money and then having a giant hole ripped in the bottom, that hole that Andrew Yang talks about will exist in UBI if everyone's sending it to Amazon, eBay, Robinhood, and everything else. And the shareholders of companies get it. What we need is the people on the ground, the people working, the people raising their families. They need to have trade with one another and serve one another. And that's what this is about. This is about local. It's about a libertarian vision of having local communities be self-sufficient. And you know what? If the complementary currency fails, they'll always have the dollar anyway. But it's important because in some pockets of the country, there's not enough dollars, and people are going to be sitting home. A plumber's going to be sitting home, not fixing a leak because there's not enough money. You want to fix those, plug those leaks, no pun intended. And that's what Intercoin does. If people want to find out more, they can just go to intercoin.org. And there's plenty of stuff. We have former regulators, economists. I interviewed Noam Chomsky on our channel. There's a lot of people. They can listen to.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I encourage everyone to visit that the website and to join in on the fight to have local cryptocurrency. And I want to thank you both, Gregory and Gerard, for joining our show today. I appreciate you both.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
Absolutely. That was CEO and founder of Intercoin, Greg Magarshak, and Government Blockchain Association Executive Director, Gerard Dache. And that's it for Community Crypto. Thank you to all the guests who joined me today. I'm your host, Isaiah Jackson. And don't forget, everyone is talking about Tom Brady and Sam Bankman-Fried, who will be closing out Consensus 2021 tonight. So head over to events.coindesk.com to make sure you don't miss it. After that, the host of The Hash will join you on CDTV at 9 p.m. Eastern. And next week, we are back to regular programming. Community Crypto airs every Thursday at 5 p.m. Eastern on CoinDesk TV. Thanks for watching.